Hello, welcome back to our old friends and new friends. We are back with a whole lot of BS. Again, that just means it's me, Bree, and Susie, mother daughter podcast, where we just talk about things that we want other people to know and things that we've dealt with. In our last podcast, if you have tuned in, we were talking about life changes and transitions. And we had mentioned me buying a house, me and my mom buying a house together, even buying a car. So it leads us into our topic of today, drum roll. Generational money management. It starts from the beginning with my mom.
Yeah. I think this is an important topic. And I say that because money is one of the most challenging conversations for families to have. And not only that, divides families, but I believe it's important to have the discussion because it actually will bring families together and create generational wealth. I am a banker. I've been in banking for about 30 years. And today I'm an executive in banking. And I want to go back a bit to where I started. So, an immigrant to Canada, didn't have much when I arrived, and went through a divorce. And during that time, I was a single mother. And being a single mother is definitely not easy. Like, hats off to all those who are raising children on your own. My heart goes out because I know it is challenging. Like, the reward is that you get to make a life for your children and set them on that path that can create a whole new direction for them, create that legacy. And when we talk about generational money, it's really having a good relationship with money. I recall when I was growing up, and I don't hear it much anymore. People have this idea that money is the root of all evil. Well, if you're going to be thinking that, you're not going to attract money.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that. I remember having a bike. I didn't have the money to buy a car for myself and my son at the time. And I would ride my bike to the grocery store and he was behind me and then we'd get the bags of groceries and I would balance riding back home, the groceries. Those sort of things can be very stressful. I'm a single mom. Not all single moms experience that, I know, but that was my story. And I recall even buying groceries. You go and you get the groceries and my son's putting stuff in the cart and then I'm taking them out as we get to the
Yeah.
cashier, right? Because I knew my budget couldn't afford certain things. So those are hard times. And with that comes our show today on how do we get from being that person that does not have a good relationship with money to understanding debt normalization. What is good debt? What's bad debt? And how can we manage our way into living a successful life? Thoughts, Bree?
Yeah, obviously, I wasn't alive at this time. I wasn't a part of this picture, so I didn't get to experience much of it. I hear it and I sympathize with it, of course. But firsthand, I only know that I joined it after the fact, right? Which really helped me to grow and understand the relationship with money from an early on age. And yeah, exactly the whole debt normalization thing where I believe that there's certain debt that we call good and bad debt. And when I was growing up, like good debt, our family is big into real estate. So we learned that, yes, like real estate is a huge, huge investment where you're going to see those five, six, seven zeros. But we know that at the end of the day, most investments like that, they do appreciate. They grow or they don't usually depreciate, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that I learned as a kid was a big thing as well. Something that's less tangible, but you still see growth with later on. You just kind of have to trust the process was student debt. So investing in yourself. I know our family is a big continuing education type of family where we continue to learn and learning brings new doors to be opened. It brings knowledge that we didn't know of before.
I agree.
So investing into ourselves is as student debts, though it's not tangible in the moment, it brings returns later on.
I agree.
So yeah, just investing in your development, right? We have things that we consider bad debt, right? And that's the shopping, which is not we fall into very heavy sometimes, right? I remember when I was younger, mommy used to take us on get lost days,
Oh
right?
yeah, that was
It was fun at the time. It was fun, and we could do it, so it was fine. But I know when Daddy looked at the credit cards, he's like, "What were you guys doing all day?" And so our get lost days, I would get taken out of school early, one or the other. We would go and we'd get lost. So we'd just make random turns and we'd end up wherever we end up. And most times we'd be at the mall or the movies and we'd just spend money for fun, right? It wouldn't be good. It's not what we would consider good debt, but it was fun time debt. So the fun time debt that you would occur when you're spending money, I want to say impulsively, we would call as bad debt, even though
Hmm.
it may bring good memories, it is technically not a return that you can tangibly.
Tangibly, yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, and even that part, we go back to education and continuing to learn. Education was the door that opened more wealth into my life. Coming to Canada, I returned to school and I used to do little jobs here and there to try and make ends meet. And it wasn't until I returned to university, got my degree, got my MBA, and then my PhD, doors opened up for me. Now, mind you, not everyone would follow the same path. Not everybody needs an MBA or needs a PhD. For me, learning provides me with confidence. Find whatever you're passionate about
Right,
and invest in it, invest in yourself.
right.
Statistics show that continuing to learn, develop yourself, and growing pays big dividends. So you need to invest in yourself, whatever that looks like from a learning point of view. And there's so many platforms today that you can learn. You don't necessarily have to go into a school. You
Yeah,
can learn online. There's many programs that allow you to get certificates and degrees and so forth online. So take
yeah.
advantage of that.
So many certificates online that you can then
Hmm.
get. You just type in something, you type in personal training and a certificate for personal
For
training
start
pops up.
trading.
It's crazy how quickly like knowledge is at your fingertips.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things we always talk about that's important in our family is the difference between passive and active income. And your active income is what you work for daily, and that's paying your bills and allowing you to live life in a normal way. What we say is your passive income is what takes you to that next level. And so passive income for us would be rental properties. So there's strategies around that. Even Brianna's home that you recently bought, you have a tenant
Yeah.
and your tenant helps pay that rent.
Yeah.
Some people will think, I don't want people living in my house. But at the end of the day, it's a passive income that allows you to pay your mortgage off sooner and you have somebody that's helping you pay that.
Yeah.
And so I do believe in that. The other piece is it's savings, so saving strategies. You're really big on savings. How do you do it?
I am big on saving. So at first it used to be where I would save in cash. So I remember, and I even talked to some friends about it too at one point in time, but my biggest thing was we hated spending cash. You would hate breaking bills. You
Bills.
had that $100 bill or you had that $20 bill, whatever it was. Like even when you're at the Tim Hortons and you're ordering your coffee, when you pull out that 20, you're not going to look in your change purse for all those little coins that you don't have to break that 20 for, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I still do that to this day, but my biggest thing at the time was saving money in cash. And other people have different strategies, but I just put everything into a box and I left that box alone. I didn't even see that box. Some people have money boxes where you can literally find like a template online where it's like columns and it has random amounts in the columns. I don't know if I've
Oh,
ever talked
okay.
to you about this, Mummy.
No.
It has random amounts in the columns. So it'd be
Mm-hmm.
like $1, 5, 10, 20, 50, 200, like just random
Right.
amounts, right? And whenever you had extra money, you would go and you would put it into that box and you just color in whatever amount you put into it. So once the
Wow.
whole column or box is colored in, it would equal a certain amount. So
Oh,
they have, yeah,
wow.
it's cool. So they have them online where it's like if you want to save, say $10,000, it doesn't
Hmm.
necessarily give you a time frame, but you
Hmm.
know that that's the end goal. That's what I'm saving.
Hmm.
So once all these columns of random amounts are colored in, right? You know that what's sitting in that box is $10,000. So I know a lot of people that have used things like that, or even like the envelopes where you would have different envelopes. So one envelope would be named like groceries, and another would be gas, and the other would be, say, like me things, like
Hmm.
personal whatever you would buy for yourself. So then
Hmm.
they would allocate certain amounts of their pay in those envelopes, and you couldn't go outside of those envelopes for random things. Like you can't use your gas money for your personal, your shopping, things like that. It's like, okay, this is for gas only. Those were different ways that just me and my generation, I guess, has
Hmm.
learned. That's like the easy ways of saving money in cash. But right now, what I do is little pieces of my income. So I have on set days. So if I get paid, well, for me right now, I get paid weekly, which is nice, but I get paid weekly and biweekly for both places that I work, right?
Hmm.
And so my weekly amount of reoccurring transfer will be taken out of my weekly amount that I get paid. So if I get paid on the Friday, a transfer on that Friday will be made before I even wake up into my savings. So I don't even see it go. It's gone. It's gone before I can see it, which is nice. And it's an amount that I'm not going to be like, holy, I didn't even get paid, right? It's just a little bit, enough that I don't notice it, but I know that even over a month, it saves quite a bit where I'm like, okay, I didn't even know that it was sitting there. And I just kind of go into my bank account and I'm like, oh, nice. So I have certain amounts that will kind of go into, like, I have TFSA set up, and RRSPs, even though I'm super young, I still have my RRSPs started. I have little amounts going to it, right? It's gradually growing
It's
over
building
time.
up.
Yeah, my mutual funds are like, that's what they said. Even when I met with my advisor, she was saying that when you have your mutual funds, yes, you can let your money sit and it will grow a little bit over time, but for it to exponentially grow, you need to continue to add into it. So that's what I've been doing. And then I have just my normal savings where it's easily able to take like money out of. I don't even have to transfer it out of any kind of bond or anything like that. So it feels good. Saving feels
Look
good.
at you.
I know,
Look at
right?
you. You must have a really savings background. I was trying to be, I thought
Humble.
about, yeah, I was trying to be humble. I was like, oh, I don't want to make it sound like it's all me.
But at the end of the day, right? You learn what you're taught. Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, no, it's true. All the things you were talking about actually bring some excitement to savings. The newer generation and the older generation. And for us, savings was buying Canada savings bonds, also the things that forced you to pay, or getting an RSP. You talked about RSP, which is registered retirement savings plan. That's Canadian. In the US, it'd be like your 401k. Different countries have different things. And I get a loan to buy those things and then pay the loan back. And I always used to do that. I would always maximize whatever I can save for that year, my amount of my income, if it's 13, 14%, and put it away. And the other option people have done as well is pool their money. And that's what you're talking about when you look at a mutual fund. A mutual fund is pooled investments. So instead of buying an individual stock, may not have the money to buy stock that is too expensive. But in a mutual fund, you can buy little pieces of it and it grows.
Yeah, it's a lot
So
safer
it's a
sometimes
lot.
too.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So it sounds like you're doing all the right things. I like when you talked about your financial planner, and that's something that a lot of people do not think about right off the bat. People think that they need to have a lot of money before they start having a financial plan. And I would encourage anyone who's listening, if you have a dollar, go talk to a financial
So smart.
advisor. Yeah, because your estate, if you're going to leave a dollar, somebody's going to want it. Somebody's going to fight over it. So you might as well have a financial plan in place and find ways to double your money. It's the wise thing to do. And don't feel guilty when you grow your investments or you're investing in and enjoying the benefits of it, because that's what affluent is about. That's what
Mhm,
you want to do. You want to grow wealth.
mhm,
And so, yeah, start thinking and talking about it early in life.
mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
One thing that I took over the years, when we talk about real estate, mommy always used to say, don't get too comfortable where you're at, because to move and grow, you need to use what you have to grow into more. And with real estate, that most people think that when you're ready to upgrade or move into another house, you sell the house you're in and you buy the
Another
next one,
one.
right? But that's not necessarily how we we do things. We really use like equity out of the house that we're in or currently in and keep it, right?
Mhm,
Rent it, get the mortgage paid, right?
mhm,
Maybe even a little bit of profit over top for whatever needs to be covered throughout the year with maintenance and all that, but using the equity to invest into more and growing the portfolio that way, which I think
mhm,
a lot of people kind of overlook. But at the end of the day, your portfolio grows with it. And I think that you and Daddy had taught me a lot about that
mhm.
over the years. And I think it's worked in our benefit. Yeah.
Absolutely. Part of building generational wealth because other people pay your mortgage and that mortgage gets paid off, you can transfer the house to your children. It's really making sure you have a will in place. So that's something I advise as well.
Mhm.
So, yes, you have a financial plan, but make sure you have your will prepared so that your money does not go to others that were not intended to receive your wealth.
Mhm.
Speak to your lawyers, speak to your bankers, and set up that process so that money gets transferred to the people that you want it to be transferred to.
Yeah, because as bad as it sounds, that is like a common issue that a lot of families have. God forbid, but bad things do happen, right? And in our deathbeds, Brandon loves to say, "What I have, I can't take with me to the grave, anyways." You can't, but the generation after you, your kids and whatever will take. So you might as well have it set up for them to be able to get it easily, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. So, one big tip we're going to leave today is save, but diversifying your investments, diversify your portfolio. You
Mm,
can't just put all your eggs in one basket. And to be able to diversify that portfolio, think things like real estate usually grows over time and it allows you to get equity that you can use your equity and purchase more property. Think of being able to get passive income as you rent these properties out. The second piece is, stocks and bonds. Take advantage of those. It doesn't need to be risky stocks. Some people love to take risky stocks. I'm a conservative investor. My
yeah.
husband, he takes more risk. Brandon takes more risk.
Yeah.
I am more conservative, but at the end of the day, think globally as well, not just within one region, diversify outside different regions. Credit utilization, we talked about that, good debt as opposed to bad debt. Running up those credit cards and paying 29, 30% interest is not going to help you acquire wealth.
Mhm.
Really, it's utilizing your credit, properly, ensuring that you have a combination that, as you mentioned, Bree, liquid versus fixed assets. You should have some money available that if your car breaks down or you want to take a vacation or something, you don't have to cash in your investments just to pay for a car repair. So you need to have some cash available. 10%, they usually say make sure you set aside 10% of your income, just like when you're tithing. It's same thing. You pay yourself so that you're able to, have money available in a liquid asset to pay for debt.
Yes. I believe that with the credit utilization, another thing that I just thought about when you said that is that when we talk about credit, I remember you used to always say that if someone offers you more, take it.
Take it.
Uh, yeah, take it because you can never go wrong with having. I know people get scared with larger limits on their accounts because they think like, oh, that means I have more to spend, and therefore, if I have more to spend, the more likely I'll spend it, right? But I remember that you always used to say, just take it because even if you don't spend it, you can set a limit on how much you actually spend out of it. If you have like a $10,000 credit limit on your card, right? If a rainy
Mhm.
day comes, at least you have it because when rainy days come, sometimes you won't have it. And so imagine saying no to the credit limit increase that the bank is giving you, right? From your
Mhm.
5,000 to 10,000, but now you're sitting at 4,000 out of your utilization and oh God, something happened to your car and now you have to fix whatever on it. And that's going to be a $2,000 bill. And now you don't have that, right? When you could
Mhm.
have. So saying yes to the increases, I think was a huge thing and setting your limits if that is the case for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I see a lot of people do that. The banks will call and say, your line of credit has been increased or your credit card has been increased. Would you like it? And people go, no, I don't want it. And then something happens down the road and now they want it, but it's not there
Yeah.
to be gotten. Yeah, so just take it.
Yeah.
One tip I've used with credit cards is you keep it in the freezer sometimes. So you put it on in a glass of water, put it in the freezer so that it's safe. But if you had to use it, at least it takes time to thaw out.
Really? I've never heard that. That's funny.
It's hey, it's old fashioned, but
Yeah.
it works for different people, and it's worked for me over time. Sometimes when I have to cool off on spontaneous shopping.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, I think it's been a good conversation in terms
Mm.
of managing money and having a better relationship with money,
Uh-huh.
both passive income and active income, and as well as not looking at money as the root of all evil.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because as bad as it sounds, I've never seen a wealthy person cry over money, you know?
yeah, it's true. Unless they're losing it.
I know, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Okay, bye bye.